Welcome back to another JIVij podcast episode. My name is JERiCK.
And I'm Felicia. Happy Thursday.
Yeah.
Happy new week.
Yeah, if you guys didn't know, we try to film every Thursday.
Yes.
At least that's the goal.
And if we don't, it's probably my fault. I'm just kidding.
And I think it's hard to schedule things, we're both busy, so I totally get it.
But I think we're doing good so far. This is our third one.
Yeah, this is going to be our third episode. Woo!
And I think the last one got pretty good interest, I would say. We had some shares.
Oh, yeah. I think people like that episode.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because we posted some Instagram clips and there's a few people responded.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty cool. So we have to start off then with a compliment that you received this week.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Did you get a compliment this week?
Well, somebody commented that they like the studio setup.
You're right. No,
does
it
that count?
is. Absolutely. Yeah. It was Honey Plant Music.
Yeah.
They said, love the setup.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, it's I did work pretty hard on this, so it's good that people
It
appreciate
does look good. A lot of people appreciate the purple too.
Because purple is such a good color. I never really liked purple as much before, but now I'm really digging it.
Yeah. It's always been my favorite color. So
Yeah.
welcome to the team.
How about you? What's your compliment?
Oh, geez.
Week?
I would say I've had a few compliments on the studio because we did have our event recently for Reflect and Release, and a couple new people saw it. And then we had some old members rent it out and say that they were very impressed and very proud because they knew essentially how hard we worked to get to where it's at right now.
Yeah, and people did compliment us on the event.
Yeah.
That we did. So we did a yoga, ecstatic dance, journaling, and Felicia did a photo shoot too. People enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think.
I thought we had an excellent turnout, and I think everybody who was meant to be there was there, and it was really good. I would say it was a success, and Vilma did an amazing job.
Yes, good job, Vilma. I know you're watching
Vilma.
this.
One of one collective.
Yeah, I think that's the point of that. When you throw events like that, it's I never really have any expectations when it comes to that kind of event, just because, like you said, like people that are meant to be there will be there.
Right.
And I just try not to be like, oh, this thing needs to be a full class and it has to be like a big thing.
Absolutely.
Like, obviously, I want it to be big because the more people that go and show up to the event, the more people we can help.
Right. Absolutely.
But, whoever is meant to be there will be there.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I think, with the members or the attendees, I think that'll kind of help spread the word for next time, because I do anticipate doing more.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a few people that were like, oh, yeah, I would love to come back next time, which is good.
Yeah.
Hopefully they do come back.
Go us.
Hey.
We did it.
But yeah, I think that's the compliment we got this week.
Very nice. And I took it. I didn't deny it. I said thank you.
Oh, yeah? Did you feel guilty?
No, I did not feel guilty. I said thanks. I actually kind of agreed. I was like, I'm proud too, because I am. So.
Yeah, I think that's the point of like getting compliments too. It's okay to just receive it.
Yeah.
Like, why do we need to respond or return a favor?
Right.
Unless
genuine.
we feel genuine, then it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Very nice. So that was the recap from last week. I just wanted to ask that little question. But I know you want to ask about what our interests were this week.
Yeah, so do you want to start since I started last week?
Ooh, Yes. So since last week, I would say my interests have been on Netflix. Netflix documentaries. But
yeah? Like what
pertaining
documentary?
to, oh geez, I forgot the name of it. It has to do with the gut, like your microbiomes and how important those are, and how poorly our Western diet is, that many of the needed microbiomes are essentially extinct, or we need to supplement for.
Interesting.
But I thought it was really interesting because there's a lot of connections with your gut health and a lot of sicknesses, and a lot of them related to like cancer, or obviously certain diseases, or even like mental health.
Yeah.
But it was just very, very interesting, and it kind of laid out a little bit what are good things to ingest, right, that can help build back that microbiome. I hope I'm saying this right. I hope I'm not butchering it.
It's like science.
I am not a doctor, okay? So do not come at me. There was one surprise part of it, though, and I had seen it on TikTok, but I didn't know it was part of the same documentary. And trigger warning, I'm going to talk about poop.
Okay.
But essentially it was like transplanting someone else's feces into your gut, like your intestinal tract.
Wait, what?
So you can pick up their microbiomes. I hope that's what it is.
Huh.
I think there's a certain name for it. I forget everything, guys. I watch things and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And I forget all the names and all the reasons behind it. But yeah, it's usually done obviously in a lab or something, but this person was doing it in their home. So I literally watched them blend up
and then they inject it?
They were putting it in pill form, so like in the capsules, and then they froze it.
So it's not their poop, it's somebody else's poop.
It's somebody else's poop. In this case, it was her brother's, and then also her boyfriend's.
People are interesting. I'm not gonna say weird, because there's a lot of, I mean, weird is whatever, but
I mean, there's an actual, I mean, there's a reason for doing that. Like it's
yeah.
But it was interesting to see somebody, and mind you, this person I believe was a medical student.
Okay.
So it was just odd to see it though in their home, and just nothing holding back. You know what I mean? It's just like, here's the blender filled with a log of what, and
like they actually showed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, if that's how real poop is supposed to look like, I'm in trouble.
Really? Well, I'm not sure if I would want to watch that documentary, but that is pretty interesting.
You could probably skip that part, but everything outside of that, as weird as that was, I would say was for me, a very informational documentary.
I mean, gut health is a real thing.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of food that we eat is not good for us. Mm-hmm. And I try to be mindful to that. I mean, it's hard because there's not a lot of options. And then if there is some, like, they're really expensive.
Right.
Like healthy food are not affordable.
But even some of the healthy foods, and that was one of the things that was brought up too, is sometimes it's just a way to market, right? To get that interest. Like they say, oh, it's gluten-free, oh, it's organic, or oh, it's this. But if you look at the actual ingredients, it's still a bunch of things that you don't really know. And you're still adding in things that are like processed or chemicals into your body. Yeah.
The funny thing is, now that you mentioned that, so I went to Target a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. I bought some groceries. I don't really go to Target. I usually go to
Is that groceries?
I usually go to Trader Joe's.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because I just like Trader Joe's.
Kind of under the fire right now.
Yeah, I just so I was just so close to Target. I was like, you know what? I needed some stuff, like not groceries, but like other stuff. So I decided to go to Target, and I bought some like stuff for sandwiches, like
Okay.
bread and
Right.
turkey, and then I got salami too.
Oh yeah.
And so I made the sandwich, and the salami
Uh-huh.
tasted like medicine.
Really?
Like, it was just like, what is this? It tasted so like chemical.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I think my body was just kind of reacting to it just because I'm like, this is not good food.
Right.
It just tasted so weird.
Interesting. I love salami.
I did too.
I mean, it's very, I know it's, salami is typically aged. So maybe it was the saltiness.
It was just
I mean, I can't tell you. I didn't make it. So
like, it didn't taste like meat. It just tasted like plastic in a way. Like, I don't know how to
Weird.
describe it because like, I don't know what plastic
all
tastes
right.
like.
Don't get your salami at Target. We now know.
Like the turkey was okay. But yeah, I don't know. Something about that salami didn't feel right to me.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I think I'm just kind of I try to be mindful of what I'm eating. Like, I'm not the best like healthy eater,
Right.
but I also try to avoid anything that's super processed.
Yeah.
Except, sometimes chips are just like, it's my kryptonite. Like, I just love chips so much. But yeah, like, I don't know. It was just kind of a weird thing.
Interesting.
So never going back to Target. Well, at least for like groceries.
Yeah. That's kind of an odd spot.
Yeah. But I mean, I like Trader Joe's. The stuff that I get there, I seem to
Enjoy
enjoy
it.
it.
They're
Yeah.
building one out by us, by
nice.
me now, over in the Sparks area.
Oh, cool.
Like
Because
out
we
by
only have
Vista.
one
Yeah.
in Reno.
There's going to be a second one.
But yeah, highly recommend Trader Joe's just because, price is good, food's good too. But yeah,
What about you? What's your interest?
so my interest this week, I was actually, because I'm traveling at the end of the month, I've been looking at, like, what do you call those? Packing cubes
Okay.
to like pack my, my clothes
Your
like, a little bit
suitcase.
more like compressed.
Right.
And I was looking for like a carry-on bag too. I might get like a duffel bag. I really like Peak Design. I don't know if you've ever looked into their bags.
Peak?
Yeah, Peak Design. Really good brand. Quality bags, and yeah, and they have a packing cube, and it just seems so interesting how you can pack so much things
Right.
and then kind of compress it in a way, just because of how their technology is gonna,
Interesting.
yeah.
That's what I could use.
Just because I'm gonna be traveling to Japan for 10 days, I think.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I need 10 days worth of clothes, and
Dang, what you doing in Japan?
so I'm going with my family.
Wow.
I think we're just gonna go around. I think we're going to Tokyo and like some other city. I don't know what the plan is.
Ooh.
I honestly I haven't really thought about it too much, just because I don't want to have any expectations. I just want to go and just enjoy
Enjoy it.
Japan for what it is. I'm really looking forward to eating sushi for sure.
Ooh.
So hopefully it doesn't ruin sushi for me,
Right.
just
It's
because
probably gonna
like
ruin it.
I would eat it there and then like I don't know how I would feel if I come back here and not enjoy sushi anymore.
Well, you know how you're going to feel, JERiCK. It's not going to be the same.
Yeah, probably.
That's how I felt when I lived in Vegas and I had Vegas sushi. Surprisingly, Vegas has pretty good sushi. And then I come back here, not to say it can't be good, but it was just better.
Interesting.
Not in Reno.
I don't think I've had sushi in Vegas just yet, but I might have to.
I have one spot that I really enjoy, and I get what's called an ocean roll and then a screaming O salad. delish.
Yeah. If I go to Vegas, I'm gonna ask you next time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna check that out.
Let me know.
But yeah, I think that's my interest this week. Just looking for bags. Because I wanted to have a duffel bag just so, because if I got a luggage, I wouldn't be able to use it for other things.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Like I wanted to get a duffel bag just so I can, you know, if I come here, if I had to bring a bunch of stuff, then I'll just put it there. Because if you get a luggage, then you can only use it when you're traveling. Kinda.
Well, I mean guess that would be your choice.
Yeah, you could technically bring luggage anywhere, but I think it's just more convenient to just have because we just want to get like do carry-ons, so, like instead of checking in, just so it's smoother.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, because my parents were like, yeah, just carry on, so it's easier to just get through like traveling and all that stuff. So I'm like, yeah. Fine.
Wow.
But yeah.
Fun.
So yeah, 10 days.
We'll have to talk about that when you're back.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've never been in Japan.
Nice. I've been at the airport.
Never
in Japan.
Yeah, not even the airport. I've been to Korea.
Bathrooms, really nice.
Yeah.
Very clean.
Like the bidet and all that stuff.
It is absolutely.
It's a thing over there.
It's wild. I was very disappointed in America.
Yeah, America needs to get it together.
I know. Like, why can't we clean the damn bathrooms?
Exactly.
Jesus. All right.
Cool.
All right. So our topic this week is believing in your ideas, particularly creative ideas.
Isn't all ideas creative though?
I mean, I guess so, because you are creating it on your own.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, my ideas obviously pertain to
art.
What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah. Art and business ideas. I feel like they're all kind of go into.
I guess that makes sense. I didn't even really think about the whole business aspect.
Yeah.
And I guess like the work or the creativity that goes into that as well.
Yeah. I mean, if you really, I feel like we tend to put it in a category of creatives, just like all art. But
right.
I mean, there's other things that you're creating too, you know.
That's true.
But I think in this particular episode, I think we're focusing more on the art side of things.
Yeah, I would love to.
Would you like to start this conversation?
Sure. I can start the conversation. So, as far as believing in ideas, I think this is actually a good topic for me because I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of ideas. And it's not that I don't believe in my ideas. Okay, maybe let me backtrack, because as I think about it, it's probably me not believing in my ideas. But I think it's like that doubt, right? There's a lot of things that come into play because my brain, the way my brain works, is like it fires off all these things in my head like a million miles a minute, and I'll like look at something like, oh, that's a really good idea, oh, that's a really good idea, and then I'll jot things down and I have a million different things of all these things that I want to do. And I think the biggest problem with that is they come so quickly, but I'm really bad at the execution. And then when I have the really solid, like good ideas where I'm like, oh, this can be a series and I think this can be big, then that doubt starts to set in. Before I even start it, and then I get like nervous, or I start to question like, oh, what are people gonna think? Is it a good idea? And it's so interesting because I can't really say that it's not me when I think of these ideas, because obviously it's me who's thinking of them. But there is a part of me, because sometimes the ideas are a little bit
random.
I wouldn't say just random, but they could be very controversial. Like to a point where it's definitely going to create some type of divide and then a perspective change, because it's going to be like, oh, well, that's what she thinks, or that's how she sees the world. But at the end of the day, it's like, I feel like they're in there, they're coming into my head for a purpose. And it's not that it's anything extremely offensive, but I think I just need to have a little bit more faith in when I get these ideas. And instead of worrying about the audience, just worry about my level of execution or my purpose with this idea.
Yeah, because I think as artists, Rick Rubin said this too. Do you know Rick Rubin? Mm-hmm. So he said that you shouldn't think about the audience when it comes to creating art. Just don't even, because you never know.
Right.
And even if you do, it's like, I still want to make this thing.
Right.
Or I still want to create whatever. And you can't really, you don't know what's going to hit for people. Mm-hmm. And then you obviously don't know what's going to trigger a lot of people.
Yeah.
But then who gives a fuck? Everything triggers people.
I know.
Like,
everything's a trigger.
Yeah. So I think when it comes to just making your own art, you should just do it for you.
Right.
And then the right audience will find it. And the rest will just kind of, even if it's like one of those, you said, controversial, even if it's a divide, like, you don't want an audience that like are hating on your art anyway.
Right.
So, like, why do you care? You know what I mean? So I think just make it and we'll see what happens. I mean,
I know. They're all in my head. They're all written down. And some of them I've actually even shot already.
yeah.
But they just kind of sit there, and that's...
Oh, you haven't posted it?
That's my MO. Yeah, I haven't either posted it or I haven't executed it. And like, even now as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh, this is a really good idea. But I think what it is too is because I'm still kind of new in this journey of this type of art, and it also like impacts my business, or like I'm trying to like merge the worlds. Yeah. Is sometimes what takes place is instead of me executing my ideas, I execute others, right? Because I'm trying to build that clientele, or you know what I mean? Like there's a financial component to it.
Yeah.
But I understand now that that's not what truly makes me happy. Like what I feel makes me really happy is doing the things that come into my head.
Yeah, and I think having a client is different than making your own art. Mm-hmm. Because, I think having a client, you're obviously catering to what they want and what they need.
Right. And
you're just doing your job, that's fine.
Yeah.
But when it comes to your ideas, I think you should just execute. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, that.
No, I mean, it makes sense. But I think just where I am in life, because I still have my 9 to 5.
Yeah.
That like having my 9 to 5 and then having the clientele portion and then wanting to do my own ideas, it's too much. So I think actually that probably is what sparked the idea that I was going to take a break from getting a lot of, additional clients unless I truly wanted to execute the vision or at least make the connection. So a lot of the recent bookings I've had was me, we met, we had a conversation. We like the chemistry, like we're vibing with each other, and I like the idea, they like the ideas I'm pitching, and then it's like, okay, we can move forward.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of turned into this like very intentional piece when it comes to booking clients, but I really am excited, and I have this whole plan for it to really start moving along after my birthday. Is all of these ideas that are in my head, I just need to get it out there.
Yeah.
And I think I definitely believe I can execute the idea.
But it's more of, from what I'm hearing, is you're a little bit nervous on how people would react to your ideas.
Yeah.
Are you thinking that they might not like it, or is it just very like controversial that people might kind of be turned off by it?
It's probably a mixture of both. But at the end of the day, I mean, that's it. It is what it's
Can't
what
please
it is.
everybody,
I know.
Felicia.
I'm like, it is what it is. And if I really like, I would come to a point where I think I would regret not executing on these ideas. And so I definitely don't want to do that. So I'm literally going to have to put myself in a bubble, even if I probably don't have to. That's just how my brain's processing right now, is just do it for myself and, you know, kind of get that emotional part out. Because that's how I also feel about my ideas too, is like, it's like in there and it's like waiting, you know, and it's like this anxiousness or anxiety that builds up.
And honestly, like, also you don't want to wait too long on executing that ideas, because remember when we had that conversation about like ideas are just like energy, and it
Big
just kind of
black magic. There's a
it just
book.
comes in and then it goes. Like if you're not ready for it, it'll just go to the next person or whatever. I do believe in that, because for me, when I make music, it's such a, like, I don't even, sometimes it's hard for me to kind of describe my process, just because like some days it will just come very easily, and then some days I would like try to force myself to like make something, but then nothing comes. And then like even me looking back at my old work too, like all the songs that I've made, like how did I make that? Like why was that the thing? Like why was that all these sounds or the rhythm? Like why was that the choice? Like it feels like for me, like after I make it, it's like it's not mine anymore. It's just,
interesting.
At least that's how I look at it. It's like once it's done, like that's it. Like that's the idea. Like when I make this like blanket right here, this design, I don't feel, it's not that I'm not connected to it, but it's just kind of like, all right, that idea is done, as like I'm ready for the next thing. Kind of like it goes to the same, like the episode last week when we were talking about the event itself feels the same, like me DJing in my bedroom to like me playing at a festival. I don't know, it just, when I just think about it, I'm like, why was that idea? Like, how did I come up with that? Like, it doesn't feel like it's mine.
Weird.
Yeah.
That's odd.
I mean, it's obviously mine.
It's yours. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say that it's odd because that makes it seem like it's wrong.
Yeah.
But I do find that very interesting because I feel like for me, I do have an attachment with the ideas. And interestingly enough, I've always felt very like thankful. Like I have a lot of gratitude for my ideas because they've stayed with me for years. Like
the stuff that you haven't done?
The stuff that I haven't done, like it's been with me and I still feel like it's mine to execute. It's almost like they've just been patient. And not all ideas are that way. But
some ideas feel like you need to do it now.
Yeah, but I feel like these ones, they've been letting me go through that journey and allowing me to be in the right place and space.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like you said, some ideas doesn't have to be done now. Because I think, like for me, when I had an idea to have my own like podcast space, I've had the idea since I started my first podcast, because I wanted to have like a dedicated space to just do it. But it didn't happen until like 5 years later. So it's one of those things that like I've always thought about it and like, oh, it would be nice to have my own like space to do things. But I think it wasn't really the time to do it until it presented itself.
Interesting.
So I think ideas, obviously we want to execute it as soon as we can, but then you also don't want to rush it. And like, I don't know what the right balance is.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say that. I was like, I feel like that's the most difficult part, is understanding the balance, because then you do hear stories of, oh, I've had that idea, and
Yeah,
honestly,
and then somebody else executed it.
like, I
right?
wish my husband was here, Anthony, because he literally has these moments all the time.
Yeah.
Where he will literally have a design and show me, right? And then it just sits in the hard drive, and he's super talented too, but it'll sit in the hard drive, and then next thing he knows, he'll show me a screenshot of like a billboard in LA. And he'd be like, that is my fucking design. And I'm like, oh my God, it is like identical.
And that's the thing. Like, we talked about idea being energy. Since he didn't execute it,
Right.
the idea had to go somewhere.
And so, and I wonder though, like, I wonder.
I mean,
what-
this is kind of like a woo-woo, like, depending on how you believe, but what you believe. But you know, I don't know. Like, it's...
I'm laughing because I have one of my nicknames at work is Woo.
You are kind of woo-woo.
Anywho, I got distracted.
But it's definitely on the more on the spiritual side of things.
Absolutely.
I mean, but it's so common though. Like, you think of things and you don't do anything about it, and then somebody else does it.
Yeah. And then now you're pissed
Yeah.
because they did it and you didn't.
Yeah. So I mean, that's why I always try to, whatever idea I get, I just kind of try to do it.
Right.
I do my best anyways. Yeah, because like, I don't think really there is, maybe intuitively you just have to know if it feels right or not. Like, oh, do I need to execute this now,
Yeah.
or should I wait a little bit longer and get a little bit more clarity on what this idea is?
I feel like this would be good to like circle back on too, with like a larger group, and just to
Yeah.
kind of understand, like, from different individuals, like what is the reasoning behind you not putting out an idea, like, for it to
Yeah.
be seen. Because it could be multiple things. It could be, oh, you just had the idea for yourself, or maybe you just don't like the idea, or maybe there's fear, or maybe, like, for me, sometimes it's like you're waiting for the right moment, and it's like, well, when you had the idea, that was the right moment,
That is
you
true.
know?
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's like, is it the not believing in your idea, or is it something else? You know?
Like, or not believing in yourself. That
Not
you can
believing in
execute?
yourself, possibly. Because I think that's one and the same, right? If you aren't believing in your idea, you don't have like the confidence or the faith in your skill level or your craft.
That's true.
And I think that really hinders progress.
Yeah.
I've been there before.
Yeah, because I think for me, like, when I make my music too, I try not to think about how the audience is gonna, because honestly, when I first started, I thought about that all the time. Like, is this gonna be good enough for everybody?
Right.
Are people gonna enjoy this? And eventually I realized, I'm like, it doesn't really matter what they think. It matters what I think. Do
Yeah.
I think this is good? Because sometimes it's like, because you hear all the time too, when you like look at artists' like interviews, right? Like, they've been working on their craft for a long time, and they didn't really take off until years later.
Right.
And then they've already made a bunch of songs that nobody listened to or nobody liked. And it was just like not the right time for them. You know what I mean?
I wonder though if I see what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but I think my challenge to that is, at what point do you know, or is it acceptable for
For the art to be out.
for not just the art to be out, for it to either be, oh, this isn't your time and place, or this is just not what you should be doing because you're not good at it. You see what I'm saying? Because I feel like there are some artists, right, where they are trying and trying and trying, but the quality, right, the quality isn't there. Maybe the vision
Yeah.
isn't right. So it's almost like those sometimes maybe overlap.
Okay, I mean, okay,
Right?
so I get what you're saying, because like, when you look at some people's art, it might not have the quality. Is that what you're
like
saying?
the flair. And see, and I guess that can also be controversial because then that's my opinion of,
Right?
of
Because
the
I mean,
art.
like you could. That's everybody. I feel like art is subjective, right?
Right.
And then I could look at other songs that are like people like, and then I don't. That doesn't mean it's not good. Or if you look at somebody that's super new, that are just making their stuff, and then I'm like, I don't think that's ready.
Right, right.
Is that what you're saying?
I think, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because I think there's a fine line between your level of execution and it being out to the audience versus your skill level and it being out to the audience.
I mean, that is a real thing. Like, is your art good enough to be consumed in a I guess in a mass level?
Yeah. And I think sometimes that makes it difficult too, because I've even said it to my husband before. I was like, I just want to do my own thing. I want to do my own art. Right. But then there's always
the trend.
The other side where people start questioning, well, how's that make money? How are you going to make money?
Yeah.
And so you kind of battle between what you want to do, what's going to be best financially, what you realistically have time for.
Yeah.
And sometimes, especially for me, because I get extremely overwhelmed, then you just shut down. You're like, I ain't doing shit now. Like, we're not doing anything.
I think those are two like different conversations though.
Yeah.
When it comes to like, if is your art valuable enough that people would actually pay for it?
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah, that could definitely
like,
go. You believing in what you do.
Believing in your art itself. When you make your art, is this done? Is this good enough to be out in the wild?
Right.
And I think it goes back to subjective again. Like, do I think it's good enough to be out? Because there's always a point for me when I'm making songs. Like, I would like edit this and add all these things. Like, oh, that's not done yet. And then it gets to a point where I'm like, all right, that's done. And then I release it and I just kind of, you cross your fingers. Like, you never know.
Right.
Because like at the end of the day, you don't know how people will react to your art anyways. And then when it comes to the money side of it, well, will people pay for this thing?
Right.
I don't know. Like, do you have control over that? Like, I don't think
know.
they're really.
I feel like I don't know why, like, as you're talking, like, in my, like, I just want to like blurt out and just be like, well, if you're on this path where you believe in your art and you put it out, you put it out, you put it out, you put it out, but it's not gaining traction or you're not gaining an audience and like nothing is really progressing, like, at what point? And maybe that's not a question for us to answer, or, maybe that can be a part of a different conversation, but it's like, at what point does your belief in yourself become more of like a delusion? And I know you said, like, if you're an artist, you have to be delusional.
Yeah.
But there has to be some point where you do need to stop and bring in some of that, like, the reality of it, right?
But then this is totally where like we're going a little bit on the off course now, but then it's like when I think about making art, doesn't matter what it is, videos, photos, music, podcasts, do I think that it's gonna take off? Obviously I do. Do I know when it's gonna take off? I have no idea. Do I know if it's gonna take off? I really have no idea either.
Right.
It's like I want to believe that it's gonna turn into something.
Right.
But then there is no guarantee when it comes to like the creative side of things. Like any business that you make, you don't know if it's gonna be successful.
Right.
But then the alternative to that is like, what else am I gonna do?
Right.
Like, I can't do anything else. Like, I'm not gonna do 9 to 5. I would just be miserable.
Right.
I'm not gonna do. I just don't have any other options. So I'd rather just like ride this wave, even if it never comes.
Right.
Like like I can't even think about like not doing it.
Wow.
It's like I would never, even if it takes me like fucking years and years and years.
Right.
There is just like I can't comprehend the idea of just like not doing it.
Right.
So I guess when you said like putting back the reality to it, like, oh, is my art just not good enough? Maybe, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
but if some people like it and some people don't, like, does that matter? Like, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't even have an answer to that.
I don't think there is none. There is one.
Yeah. I feel like that's a hard that's a hard question.
Yeah, because like if somebody tells you like you shouldn't do photography, let's say let's put a scenario there. All right, let's say like I came back from the future, right? 50 years from now. Wait, how old are we? Okay.
Oh God.
50 years sounds pretty good.
Damn.
Okay, 50 years from now, and then I'll tell you. So Felicia, I came back from the future 50 years from now. And just don't take this in a bad way, but like,
we're not putting this into the universe.
Yeah, but it's like you never I guess blew up. What would you do? Would you stop?
I don't think I'd stop.
Like it's like
I wouldn't stop because I actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
For myself. And that's kind of how it was with music for me. Like I enjoyed playing the violin.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it for myself. But the minute my family started pressuring me and like was developing their own path and journey to my music career, I was like, I became uninterested. And
I think a big part of that too is like this would be a good topic too, like an Asian culture and how they view the arts. Especially a lot of like parents and stuff like that, but we can talk about that some other time. But I don't know, it's like I don't think I would stop doing it.
For the record, I am gonna blow up.
Me too. It's like
even if it's just my head.
Even if my future me comes back and be like, dude, you never made it, and I would be like, I don't believe you.
I mean, like, there's many different timelines.
It's like, I don't believe you. You're a liar.
You came back from the wrong one.
Exactly. Like the multiverse is wild.
I think what I also think of too is it's not just about. I don't want to say it's the delusional part, but I think it's just making sure that even as you're doing it every day because it's something you love to do, that you're also not complacent, like you're not stagnant, right? Like you're still continuing to improve and improve and improve and improve.
Yeah, and I think the point is like you should always be progressing, even if it's so incremental.
Right.
You should be getting better with whatever art you're working on. And you just pretty much just cross your finger and see what happens. But then when you really look at it, if you get to do what you want every day, that's already the success. Like I think like when we talk about success, we're putting a number into it.
Yeah. Like a financial or a situation.
Yeah, so like financially you put a number into it, or like a bunch of followers, or like how popular you are.
Yeah.
That's not really the measure of success. At least like that's how you shouldn't look at it that way.
Right.
Like you get to do the art that you want. Like there's a bunch of artists that never made it, but then they're so happy with just like doing their thing at home or like painting, or it doesn't matter.
Pure enjoyment.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole point of this whole thing, is just kind of enjoy your art instead of just
in whatever capacity that is.
Yeah, instead of having these expectations that you're gonna blow up.
Right.
I mean, obviously everybody wants to to do that because I think part of it too is because they don't want to do the other things that comes with it. Like 'cause
Right.
for us, we still have to have a regular job,
Right,
and then
right.
instead of just like doing that full time. You know what I mean? And I think that's the reason why we have this a little pressure. If I'm not doing it full time, I'm not successful.
Right. Am I good?
Yeah. But then it's like,
That's true. Because I actually had that conversation with Anthony last week.
yeah,
It was interesting because what we were discussing last week kind of tied into a conversation I had with him at home. And
Yeah.
I'm not about to put our business out or anything, but it was just so interesting how it all connected. But it really was kind of going over like that success and essentially believing in what you've done or what you've put into your idea, right? And for us it was the studio, and I
Yeah.
completely 100% consider like Masterpiece Studio like his child. Like it's his baby. He created that, you know, and I've just been
Yeah.
there to like be his partner and support. But it was so interesting because even though he like birthed that idea, it's like he forgot that he did that and
Yeah.
that he's helped it grow to where it is today.
because
You
do
know?
you guys, when you guys think about your studio, do you feel like this is a success, or is this just like a step forward to whatever the bigger picture is?
I would definitely say it's a step forward, but I also think that in where we are in present time, it's still success, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Right?
It's success at this very moment.
Yeah, it's like it's not the ultimate success, right?
Yeah.
Or where we want to be with whatever, with clientele or what, you know, who rents and stuff like that. But I think it's both part. Like it's a step forward, absolutely, but we do need to, especially him, need to acknowledge the success
Yeah.
because we're about to come up on 5 years. We came from a tiny studio, moved around, and now we have an entire suite of rooms.
Yeah, because if you think about it, there is a progression there.
Mm-hmm.
You started in a smaller room, and then you got into a bigger room, and then now you got into a bigger room. So
Right.
there is progress, even if
Yeah.
this is not the final form.
Mm-hmm.
But then, even when you get there, the idea in your head, right? Like this is the final form.
Right.
But then there's always going to be the
There's
next
going to
level.
be, yeah, exactly.
There's no like this is it. Like I've made it.
Right.
And I think that's the thing, is like we're constantly chasing that thing.
The next thing.
Yeah, even like when we talked about it last week
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
about my DJing, from my bedroom to the first show
Right.
to being in a festival, and then like for me, like what's the next thing? Oh, like I wanted it to be on the next tier of artists.
Right.
And then the next tier after that, it's just like what's the end goal? Like I don't think there is.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I think just by nature, you're always going to want to
Yeah.
think that there's got to be more than just where you're at. But I think that's the other part to having an idea and watching your idea come to fruition is also acknowledging at the same time that you're doing this.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you had enough belief in yourself to start the idea, but you have to keep that motivation. Like you have to continuously believe that you can do that. You can create new music, or you
Yeah.
can create, you know, new photos, or build your business and grow. You know, like there's so many different points where you have to like reintroduce that thought of belief over and over.
Yeah, and because I think so. This is I just thought about it right now. Mm-hmm. When I first started the podcast, like 5 years ago, I think now, I started in my bedroom, and that was the thing. Like, oh, all I needed to do was buy the equipment and then start doing it,
Right.
and that was the level one at the time, and that was at like I would hit. I guess if I look back at it now, like that was like the top level I could finally like reach.
Right.
Like I just need to do this, and then like I'm there. But then when you get there, you're already at the bottom of that stair, and then you get to the next level. It's just like you're always at the I don't want you to like look at it in a bad way, but like you're always at the bottom of the next level.
Right.
Like every time you hit a next level, you're always at the level 1 of that
Right.
next level.
Yeah.
Which is like, now that I've got this space where I can like I'm not doing it in my bedroom anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm already thinking about like, oh, like what if I have a bigger space?
Mm-hmm.
Or like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if everything has like, it goes to the next level. What if I have like 3 cameras, or like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm already, what if I have like editors,
Don't
or
get my
like,
side angle.
yeah, like what if I have all these things? So like, I'm already thinking in my head like, all right, what's after? Because I'm already at like the peak of the current level.
Right.
So now I'm like, all right, so
What's
now I have
after that?
the space, like what's after?
Yeah.
And I try not to, like, this is what I've been working on a lot lately. It's like I try not to put so much on the expectations of things. I'm just kind of like, honestly, just trying to let go of a lot of things instead of trying to make things happen over and over.
Like forcing it.
Yeah.
Let it come.
Yeah.
I would say let it go.
I mean, you just
Like,
basically
yeah,
letting go of the wheel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like you don't. I mean, I feel like there's always that next level, and which is good, which just makes it exciting.
No, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think that's wrong. Again, as long as you have that balance of presence
Yeah.
and motivation to excel.
And I think, yeah, it's like being in the moment, and also like have gratitude for where you're at,
And
because
then even if you are in the moment and that's all of what you're thinking of, that's fine too.
yeah,
And I'll speak more on that a little bit, because it kind of has to tie in with the event.
yeah,
But it was such a crazy revelation.
because
Self-revelation.
like I don't know, like I just want to live my life where I'm like not constantly thinking about the future too much. So I just kind of let go with a lot of expectations, and I think it's really helped me like be more at peace of where I'm at.
Really?
Obviously I have big dreams and big goals, but I think it's just, I don't want to be constantly like, oh, when is this gonna blow up? When is this gonna blow up? When is this gonna go? When am I gonna start making all this money? I think I'm just kind of letting go of the idea of just letting the life happen instead of just trying to control everything.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I can agree with that. And maybe I'm probably in a different place, but am kind of aligned with what you're saying. Just
Yeah.
in the way of being at peace with being still.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And so that was one of the prompts from our yoga flow Vilma had, and I don't really recall what the exact question was. Oh, but it was, I think it was, do you find yourself lost, or do you find yourself lost, or do you feel found? And literally it was like crickets in my head, like nothing was coming up.
So
and
you didn't write anything?
And I did write things down, but what I wrote down is I'm content, like I'm happy being where I'm at. Like I'm not found, like I don't feel found, but I'm not lost either.
Yeah.
Like I'm just in this place of peace, and it's just like I know I need to be there for a little bit.
Because I do remember that, and I don't fully recall what exactly I wrote in that. But my answer was basically, I feel not lost, but I'm not sure what the next path is.
Mm-hmm.
It's so unclear to me. But then it's also like I'm not like it. I don't feel like scared or anything like that.
Right.
Of, like the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of like excited of what's to come, because like
Yeah.
anything could happen.
Right.
Because if you're not expecting anything, that means anything
Yeah,
can
anything
happen.
can happen.
Like I could just like tomorrow just like fucking millions of dollars. Like who fucking knows? But it's just like, instead of trying to think about like, oh, like tomorrow this is gonna be the thing. Like,
Right.
I just try to not expect things as much, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Did we go off track?
I
in
don't
our
think
topic?
so. No.
Nah, it's fine.
We all stayed within the realm of ideas.
Yeah.
I just think that like it just there are so many branches to the belief in your idea. Like there, you know what I
It's
mean?
such a, I guess, an open discussion.
And it also depends on like the perspective and what the outcome is. That's why I was like having all those questions. I'm like, well, at what point when you believe in yourself and you know nothing's progressing, do you admit to yourself like, okay, we need to rethink this?
No, we don't admit defeat here, Felicia.
It's not defeat, but sometimes it's just acknowledge, like it's
No,
acknowledgement of
knowing when
pivoting.
to pivot.
Yes, it's like a pivot, right? And you're
Yeah.
like, okay, this isn't working. We're gonna pivot here, you know. But that's why I brought in afterwards what I was trying to tie in more than just like you saying like, oh, I believe in my work, because you should. I agree. You should believe in what you do and and love what you do, right? But there should also always be that component of like progression, like you're leveling up your own skill set regardless of what's taking place in the outside world. And I think sometimes that there's some, you know, people or artists, whatever, whether it's in a profession or, you know, being an artist or musician, like sometimes that just you stay stagnant and it becomes noticeable.
Yeah. I mean that's on individual cases.
Yeah.
You know, like if you feel stagnant with your art or just in life, like I feel like you'll know. And it's your job to like pivot. I mean, some people are a little bit more oblivious than others.
Unless your crew's also delusional.
But then who am I to judge if people feel like they're on the top of their game, like, who am I to judge that? Like, who am I to say that they're not?
Yeah.
Like, let them be delusional in their own way. It's like,
I think what it is too, it's like the trainer side of me, like the development side is like I always want I have joy in watching people develop. Does that make sense?
I do too.
It's like, so when they're not, I'm like, hey, we gotta step up. What's happening?
Because like for me, like when people try to do music or, you know, they make their own music or whatever, obviously I look at it in a more critical way just because I make music.
Right.
And I have my own taste and I know what's, at least for me, like I feel like I know what's good and what's not in my own perspective.
Right, right.
And the thing is, when it comes to like art, it's like either I like it or I don't. And that's just any art too. But it doesn't mean that it's not good.
Right, right.
It just
Not
it's not good
to
for
you.
me.
Yeah.
Just like any, like if
good
you think
to
about
you.
food, like I don't like certain foods, but I love other things.
Right, right.
So I don't know, like I'm not gonna judge people for their quality of work. In my head, I'm not gonna say anything. In my head, it's like, oh, that's not really it.
Yeah.
But then it's unless they are asking
Are
for
seeking
feedback,
for the feedback.
then I would say something. I'm like, all right, you need to do this and do that, in my opinion.
Right.
But then I also, for me, when I give opinions too, it's like, listen to me or don't. I don't care.
Right.
It's your fucking life. It's your fucking art. I'm just gonna say what I think and take care or leave it, I think.
Yeah.
Because like I don't listen to people, so I don't expect people to listen to me. So I mean, like, you should just fucking live your life how you want to fucking live your
Yeah,
life.
I know. I just like to help everybody.
I do too. Like, I love helping people.
But again, that's like my own perspective and point of view. So
Why you're out here criticizing people's
whether it's
art,
relevant,
Felicia?
No. I just wish that I do wish sometimes we had a community that fostered like more constructive criticism a little bit better. You know, like helping each other grow. Because I think that's something that we do lack a little bit is, you know, like, hey, like, let's get together. We all do this one thing. How do we get better?
Well,
I have a studio. Should we
that's
start it?
maybe we should do like a workshop or something.
No tears.
Um,
Oh, Vilma wouldn't like that.
yeah, that would be. I mean, that would be kind of fun. Like if you do.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what kind of workshop you're thinking about, like photography workshop or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
When people are just kind of
it's-
giving feedback.
I feel like it's almost like, yeah, it's just like creating a safe space for artists to come in and like seek that feedback, right? Because sometimes too, it's good to get information from people who normally wouldn't view your work.
Yeah, and I'm all for that too, because like, especially now, like at least just for like photography perspective, we're just posting our stuff on Instagram, and
Yeah.
that's the only feedback we get.
Mm-hmm.
Like either people like it, or some people don't even
Yeah.
even do anything. So like having that, you just have to create that safe space for people. I think people would be open for that,
Yeah.
to do that. I mean, there's a bunch of photographers right now.
Right.
I'm sure people would love to have a community where we're just, I guess, kind of critiquing people's work and then giving feedback.
Yeah. It's like a learning experience, you
Yeah.
know? It has nothing to do with your skill or, you know what I mean? Like not to judge,
Yeah.
but just, you know, how can we elevate one another through different points of view?
Yeah. I
You
mean,
know? Who knows? Maybe it's going to become something.
honestly, I mean, you got the space, so
I know, I do have the
that's
space.
on you to, I guess, start that. What would you call that? Like a workshop or something?
I don't know yet.
Yeah. 'Cause,
I don't know.
We know a bunch of photographers. Like, people
Yeah.
might be into that.
I think so. It's pretty common in music. I think that's why I'm so open to feedback. Like you literally like go play you play a song or
And then people,
you know, and
give-
people just like you go there to get judged and
Yeah.
get critiqued, you know? And so I think that's why for me, I'm so like, I wish people gave more feedback. And I think I just grew up that way.
What,
And I-
you want feedback?
And I grew up with like, oh yeah. And I grew up with family who would be hard on me. Like, you know, like like the world is here and you're here. And
Well,
you're like, dang.
how has that worked out for you?
Well, that particular story. So I did mention I played the violin.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was taught by my cousin Dom, and my uncle Peter helped out too with my practicing. Anyways, I became very good quickly, but I was in a time where there was a lot of prodigies, like people who were like good. And I remember I went to my private lesson with my cousin, mind
How
you.
old were you at the time?
Early high school, middle schoolish, I want to say.
Okay.
But I remember I went to a private lesson and it was very clear that I did not practice. And basically, like the response was, look, like I don't care if you practice or if you don't, essentially. But you just need to understand that the consequence is how you feel about like your work, your music. So if you're okay with being here, knowing that the rest of the world is here,
Wait,
then that's
the teacher
it.
said that, or your family?
The private teacher. Well, he was my teacher, also my family,
Oh, okay.
which probably made it a little bit worse.
Yeah.
But I wasn't offended. And for some reason that has always stuck with me, because what I took from that statement, basically saying like, if you're okay with being here, then that's fine. But you need to know that if you want to excel or you want to become, you know, this next person or next, you know, unlock this next level in your music, then you need to understand that this is where people are at and that's how far you have to go. And so I think what that did for me is anything that kind of came into my life, I've compared it to that. Am I okay? Am I okay just being okay? And there was a lot of things in my life that I've done that I was okay at just being okay.
Yeah.
And photography is the one thing where I'm not okay just being okay. And so that's why, and like that's why I know, like I'm like, okay, this is like my drive.
Yeah. And I think like I want to continue this conversation on a different time, but I do want to end with like, who decides the quality of your art?
Yeah, that's a big question.
That is a big question, because
it depends.
Let's say you have a photo,
Mm-hmm.
and then some people are like, "Oh, this is the best thing I've ever seen,"
Right.
and then some people will be like, it's mids."
Right.
Like, who determines the real value of that? And I think, at least in my opinion, it should be you.
Right.
Like, because I get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
When there's like levels, right? Like, all these prodigy kids who are just like crazy good at playing the violin or whatever. And then I guess you could kind of see that objectively, right? Like, who plays better? Like, if this person plays better or that person plays better?
I mean, they play.
Yeah. I mean, like, objectively, you could probably say you can kind of agree.
For Reno, Nevada, I played pretty darn well, but for the rest of the world,
but then it's like, the way I look at it is like, there's room for everybody.
Yeah.
To be successful.
But see, and I think that's where the tie-in of value comes from, because I do agree that value, the worth or the value of what you put out should solely be your decision.
Yeah.
But that's why it's also important to understand that this is where you're at, and being at peace with it. Right. And I think that applies to any place. Like, when I work in the warehouse, some people just love working in the warehouse.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with that. Because, like, for me, when I look at my old music too, or even my old like photography or whatever, like, I look back at it, I'm like, huh. Like, from what my skills now, like, that wasn't as good anymore. But at that time, that was the best
you
I
could
could do.
Yeah.
So there is a constant progress to it. But then it's like, I don't know. Some people progress slower, so maybe it's just
or I mean, just thinking about it and talking is, I think there are some people that are just okay with where they're at.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with
totally
that.
Fine.
Honestly, sometimes I envy that, because
like,
it's such a. It seems like
it does seem peaceful. Less
like
chaos.
If I look at like people that have a regular 9 to 5, and then after they go to work, they just go home, chill,
I know.
and then go back to work the next day. For the people that enjoy that,
right.
There's a bunch of people, way more, that hate that. But for the people that enjoy it, I envy it, because I'm like, damn,
what a simple life.
What a simple life.
For us, that seems simple, but who knows,
But it's like, oh man, like, you just go to work, go home, watch TV. I mean, like, I kind of do that.
Get to go
sometimes,
to the gym.
but like, it's just like,
there's like
there's
structure.
There's structure, and then there's consistency.
Yeah. Routine
is, I guess, the word I was looking for. For me, I'm just like, man, like, I have no idea what's gonna happen next. Like, is that a good thing?
What day is
like,
it?
I don't know. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen to this, or like, it's just so many uncertainties that, I just sometimes I envy the simple life.
Well,
but then I don't want simple life either. So yeah.
Do you believe in your idea?
Hell, the fuck yeah.
And that's all you need.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a pretty
good.
That was a pretty good discussion.
That was me playing the drums. Did you figure it out yet?
No, but I have like some Mario stuff in there.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's.
You should be sad because we're partying now, and we'll get back to you next week.
All right.
All right.
That's the end of the episode. We'll see you guys
Thanks for tuning in.
next week.
Bye.
Peace.